Ramanuja says, for me, my heart is filled with Ramayanam. Ramayanam ennum bhakti vellam. So I feel, first of all, they should take some time off. People who are claiming such things, get into a course, read the Tamil literature, read the Bhakti literature, and then come on a debate. It feels very, very imprudent on me and very, very unfortunate of me to even answer questions of such people who are, repositories of idiosyncrasy.
No, but you see, you've used Tarkashastra brilliantly. But the fact is, and Gurumurthy sir also spoke about it, because that's our culture. You not only look at the Purva Purusha, the aspect, but you also understand the other persons, where they are coming from, and you make a strong argument based on your knowledge. But these are opinion makers, Khushbuji. Rameshji, I'll come to you after Khushbu. These are opinion makers. They are the ones who publicly hold a certain sway. They are making movies that also alter the discourse. And then they are setting out to critique. And it stems from a fact that how can you portray them as a Hindu king? Now, what do you mean by portray somebody as a Hindu king? If you're a Hindu, if you're here in Bharatam, then you, irrespective of what way you follow, you are Hindu. That means you do not look at Hinduism as a way of life. So they get confused in their own argument or caught in their own argument.
No, it's unfortunate that some, get caught in these kind of arguments because they think that their way of thinking is way ahead of anybody else. Now, when you look at Hinduism, the Hindu Shastra says where Hinduism comes from. You can say that the word Hinduism was coined by the Britishers, but when you look into the history, every time there's an argument about Hinduism or Hindutva, Manusmriti has been brought in. If you do not agree that Raja Raja Cholan who was 1,200 years back an emperor, you'd say that he was not a Hindu, but then but Manusmriti is technically part of Hinduism and Hindutva. Then that was 3,000 years ago. So if you accept Manusmriti, then you have to accept Raja Raja Cholan as a Hindu king, which they defied themselves. They actually go back on their own words, and they do not understand that Hinduism, Hindutva, or Shaivites or Vaishnavites, whatever you call them, that has been a way of life on India. Talk about Christianity. Christianity is, it came 200 years after the death of Jesus Christ. But do you say that? I mean, you have so many. You have PSI, you have Protestants, you have Roman Catholics, you have so many people. But do they not all come under Christianity? Or when you talk about Muslims, you have Shias, you have Sunnis, you have Sufis. Does not everything else come under one umbrella, and that is called being Muslims? Why is it only when it comes to Hindu, they are not ready to accept that everything else comes under one umbrella, and that is about the way of life, Hindutva, Hinduism? That's why they are not ready to agree, they do not agree on that basis, what I don't understand. An independent country. It's a very.
No, somewhere, Khushbuji, is that also because the other two that you talked about, the Abrahamical religions, are aligned on theology, whereas Hinduism as a way of life or Hindutva is a philosophy. So what happens? Yeah. So that's where perhaps the difference comes, that the umbrella of the overall, you may have different sects, but it aligns to one particular book and one particular thought process. In Hinduism, it doesn't align that way. It aligns on a philosophy where you largely believe on Punarjanma. That's what binds us all. We believe that the Atma is immortal, the Atma is perennial, and the Atma is a part of the universal energy or cosmos, which we call in both forms, personal and impersonal.
But that's what we say. The ethos of life is what we are talking about. So if you agree to something else, you have to agree to this. You cannot say that I accept A, but I'm not ready to accept B. But I'm fine with C. That is not the way of life. I mean, it's there for people. They are very well-read people. I have huge respect for Mr. Kamal Haasan, being a very well-read person. But he has been pulled into this controversy unnecessarily because probably he wanted to say something else and something else has been stated. But I would say that people like Vetrimaaran or Thirumavalavan or anybody for that matter, if you're talking about history, I think you need to know the entire history. Just because you do not want to accept being known as a Hindu, or you don't want to know that, you just want to push Tamil. Tamil is part of Hinduism. What are we talking about today? Even the Dravidian culture we are talking about. Where does it come from? We need to look back. We need to look where you're talking about Rig Veda. Where does it come from? All the inscriptions on the temples we go to, it shows that anywhere you go, all these inscriptions on the wall in the temples, it comes from Hinduism. So why is it? And even the temples which were built by Raja Raja Cholan, the biggest temple for that matter, the Tanjavur Periya Koil.
Yes.
I mean, look at all the transcriptions. He himself called Shivan Padasevagan. He called himself somebody who wanted to be at the feet of Shivan and serve him. So, you know, those kind of humbleness, when you see that, where does Shivan come from? Where does Vishnu come from? Today, it was Raja Raja Cholan who has built temples of Shivan and Vishnu together. So you have so many temples in Tamil Nadu today, all over the place, where you have Shivan and Vishnu together. So Shaivats and Vaishnavites, they all have come together.
Well,
and that has become part of Hinduism. That has become part of it, because that is where basically it comes from.
The
Grow,
streams
but
have merged,
take
but
away the fact that the child comes from the womb of a mother. You cannot take that womb away from the child. And that is where the basic argument lies.
Very rightly said. The fact of this, in terms of this argument, Shiva is also hailed as the greatest Vaishnava. It is mentioned in none other than in the Brahma Samhita. The other aspect is that you talked about Manusmriti, which is 3,000 years old, so that's a convenient political argument. But then after that, there is a Parashara Smriti which never is spoken about. So there are a lot of arguments and counter arguments to the word Dravidam. The word Dravidam itself, we heard him mention. Dushyant Sridhar mentioned the word Dravidam. Dravidam is the land that is sandwiched between two seas or two water bodies, two large water bodies. So all of Karnataka, Andhra, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, all of this now is actually Dravida Nadu. It's not just this entire political narrative of one particular land that is Tamil Nadu, which is this. So this entire Dravidian politics itself is also distorted, because Adi Shankaracharya, they introduced himself as somebody who came from Dravida. And that too, he did it in Kashmir. But the meaning was different. T.R. Ramesh, so those who are now trying to convolute, are they pushing a particular political narrative which is steeped in Periyarism?
Well, they have to talk Dravidism, because many of the people in the DMK party speak Telugu as the mother tongue. And EVR Ramaswamy Nayakar, who was Periyar, his mother tongue was Kannada. And he said Tamil is a barbaric language. To hide all this, they keep talking about Dravidism and all that, and not really about Tamil or Tamil Nadu. Now, keeping that aside, if Raja Raja was a Saivite, again, Saivism is a sect of the Sanatana Dharma, which is now known as Hinduism. And in Saivism, there are many sects. There is Pasupada, there are Pasupadas, there are Kapalikas, and there are Shiva Brahmanas. There are so many sects there. And Raja Raja practiced Lagulika Pasupada. And for him, the main deity is Sadashiva Murti. He has come with a statuary of Sadashiva Murti in the big temple.
Yes.
So you can go on dividing sects and subsects and so on. But he belongs to Sanatana Dharma, and he followed Manu Dharma Niti, because he is a descendant of Manu Niti Chola. Now Manu Niti Chola ruled the Chola Empire from Tiruvarur, and Mr. Karnanidhi has erected a monument for Manu Niti Chola, for a great administrator of justice in Tiruvarur. And not only that, the DMK government got a pillar erected in the name of Manu Niti Chola in Madras High Court, because that Chola was a great administrator of justice. And Raja Raja is a direct descendant of Manu Niti Chola. So his predecessors followed Manu Dharma and Sanatana Dharma. There is no doubt, there is not even iota of doubt that he is a Hindu first, then a Saivite, and within a Saivite, he was a Pasupada Saivite. And he established the Tanjore temple, the temple which is in my hometown. I grew up watching the Tanjore temple every day. That temple he established under Maguda Agama, one of these 28 Saiva Agamas, and the Agamas came from the Vedas. Thevaram says, Vedanari Taraithongas Nidisaivatturai Valanga. Periya Puranam says that. The chief minister of the Chola Empire has said this. That means, let the Veda way of life flourish. And Saiva, which is a sect of that, let it be splendorous. So, Saivism is a sect of Vedanari, or the Veda way of life, and which is now known as Hinduism, popularly known as Hinduism. Chidambaram Dikshithas are the first among the Saivites because Thevaram says, I am the servitor of those who serve Chidambaram Dikshithas. And they are Saivites number one, but they follow Vedas. The pujas they do are not even according to Agamas, but according to the Vedas. So, Sanatana Dharma is the umbrella under which other sects of Hinduism come, and the Sanatana Dharma is the umbrella spread across Bharat. There is no doubt about it. And if Thirumavalavan says something else, A. Raja says something else, they should first disown that they are not, that they are Hindus. They are not Hindu. They should declare they are not Hindus. Then they will lose their parliamentary seats immediately.
That is the other political angle of something crypto about it.
From reserve constituencies as Hindus.
And then we get into the political narrative of something crypto about it. So the Madurai bench of the Madras High Court has already made the term crypto Christianity, where you would retain your Hindu names, but you've already changed your religion because you want your quotas to prevail. Now there is this matter is sub judice, and former Chief Justice Balakrishnan is now part of the 3-member committee that's been constituted to look into this. So
nevertheless, as of today, if they say we are not Hindus, they lose their parliament seats.
That is true. They will not say that. They want to keep that Hindu name and that overarching, perhaps the frontal Hindu identity, so that they can openly bash Hinduism as being part of within the community, and perhaps then go ahead and say what they want to say, thinking that will get more traction or practice.
Talking about names, the name Raja Raja is one of the 1,000 names of Lord Shiva.
Yes.
Raja Raja is found in the Sahasranama of Lord Shiva.
Yes.
I think it's the 997th name.
Correct.
It is Raja Raja had a Hindu name and Shiva's name. He did not have a Muslim name like Hassan. So today Hassans can talk about Raja Raja not being a Hindu, but they should say to which religion they belong first. They should declare that.
Well, we are not here to question everybody's religion or what their faith is, but they should be open about what they follow before they start bashing, because they cannot have perhaps a front or a facade and then go ahead and bash. But I'm not going to get into that. Mr. Kamal Haasan is far more educated, and he is also well versed in the ways, because he has done his research. When he came, and what he said today, Dushyant Sridhar, came from the fact that we did not have a concept of Hinduism at that time. There were Shaivas and Vaishnavas, various sects. These Hindus, he said, Vellakaranga, they put this name. And that is true, because the Portuguese brought in the word casta or caste, and the British in around 1528, that's when they did not know how to classify all those who are neither Christian nor Muslim. So what do you do with all of them? They bunch them up as, or Sikhs, so they bunch them all up as Hindus. So that's what is the explanation is given. That's also subject to correction. But I'm just saying, is that reason enough for them to have this kind of a line what they're taking? Or is it because that's how they're politically oriented and that's how they've been taught?
In most of our works, literature that I'm talking about, the land is referred to as Chola Desham, Pandya Desham, Kupya Choli, Vachana Kutilehi, Kuntalehi, Sishtamule, says Vedanta Deshika. It is called the Chola Desham, Pandya Desham, Chera Desham, from time immemorial, as and when they ruled. So then we had the state with a new name called as Tamil Nadu. So Tamil Nadu, the land of Tamils, did not exist before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was. So I should be called a Pandya or a Chola.
Pandya kingdom. Pandya kingdom was known as Tamil Nadu.
Now,
and subsequently,
when you talk about the word, when you talk about Tamil Nadu as well, since Shri Rameshji is talking, it's called as Alavai. In Kalidasa's work, Raghuvamsham, it is called as Uraganagaram, Alavai. It was called Kudal Managari.
No, the Pandya Nadu is always known as Tamil Nadu.
So what about Chola Nadu?
Because that's where the Tamil Sangam was there. That's why it's known as Tamil Nadu. But now the name denotes the entire state of Tamil Nadu, including the Chola, Pallava.
So that's what. So Tamil Nadu, as we see today, was never existing. It's come to fruition after.
It's a name that has come now.
Yeah.
Okay. And one more thing, to recognize Raja Raja Chola as only a Shaivite will also be wrong. Though he may have constructed a temple for Shiva, he has given so much of donations for Vishnu temples. In fact, his sister Kundavai has recognized herself to be an Alvar herself. In one of the inscriptions, she says she is so devoted to Vishnu that she calls herself an Alvar. the role played by Trisha. Aniruddha Brahmaraya, played by the veteran actor Mohan Ram, he belonged to the place called Anbil. Traditionally in history, he belonged to the Gotra of Harita, from which Ramanuja comes. So all those Anbil plates talk about the lineage of the kings of Ayodhya, and then they talk right from Vishnu to Manu. Now, interestingly, Anand, there is so much of hue and cry about Manu Dharma Shastra in Tamil Nadu. Let's all of us now excuse ourselves and say we don't agree with Manu Dharma Shastram. Let's see what Raja Raja Chola has to say. In one of the inscriptions, he states, Yavat Kailasha Shaile Viharati. As long as the Kailasha exists, as long as the milky ocean of Vishnu exists, me, the one who has come in the lineage of Manu. Now, they may say it's Manu